Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tirvanachari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tirvanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Pallava Girivanadari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Pallava Girivanadari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tirvanachari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tirvanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Or Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachanini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasyatya Dasatani Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this evening, thank you all for coming. You are a living example devotees who understand the purport of this verse in the verse 58 of the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi atha tvam ahaṅkārān śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi mac-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi atha tvam ahaṅkārān śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi atha tvam ahaṅkārān śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi atha tvam ahaṅkārān śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi atha tvam ahaṅkārān śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi
mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi
mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi
mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi
mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi
atha tvam ahaṅkārān
atha tvam ahaṅkārān
śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi
śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi. Vaishnavis? mat-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi mat-prasādāt tariṣyasi atha tvam ahaṅkārān śroṣyasi vinaṅkṣyasi. Mat of me, citta, being in consciousness, sarva, all, durgāṇi, impediments, mat-prasādāt, by my mercy, tariṣyasi, you will overcome, atha, but, chet, if, tvam, you, ahaṅkārāt, by false ego, śroṣyasi, do not hear, vinaṅkṣyasi, you will be lost. Translation: If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Let's repeat this. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. A person, Srila Prabhupada's purport, a person in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. For one who acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, Lord Kṛṣṇa becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friend's comfort, and he gives himself to his friend, who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily concept of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. He is already under strict material laws, but as soon as he acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool, in the ocean of birth and death. No conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Kṛṣṇa from within and confirmed by the spiritual master. Om Agina Timrandasya Jananjana Salakaya Jaksun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Garave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadanmayam Dadanti Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Apta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Payevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I pray that Srila Prabhupada inspires me to say something that inspires you in your spiritual life, and that this will be an enlivening class for you. It's an enlivening topic in itself, because it's pretty much the basis of our life. We understand from the Bhagavad Gita that there are those who are very intelligent, who can see the truth. They have concluded that of anything that is like the material body is impermanent. It's temporary, so it has no endurance. But the eternal, the soul, that there's no change. And so that they say we must study both. And they can understand what is real and what is temporary. And that's what we want to do. We want to focus on the permanent, not on the temporary and impermanent things that go on. We can make decisions that improve our spiritual life when we understand what's real and what's temporary. And we can see the analogy in the 2:13 in Bhagavad Gita and 2:22, Dehi nosmin yahata dehe, is that as the embodied soul continually passes from boyhood to youth to old age, and then the soul similarly passes into another body when he leaves this body. A sober person is not bewildered by this. A sober person can see this. And that when one gives up one body, it's like changing clothes. They give up the old useless bodies and they take the new important bodies. But what the interesting thing, even though this is a very obvious situation, we find that the whole world is running on this propaganda that everybody wants to please this body at this time. And this is causing so much difficulty because it's not possible for one reason. And the second reason is that there's really no temporary happiness. It's so fleeting. So even if one is rich or one is poor or one is educated or not, they're still all on this path of searching for happiness in this material body. And Prahlad gave us a great solution. He said, simply don't look for happiness in this material world. And because you're guaranteed frustration. And the Bhagavad Gita does recommend detachment from this material world. However, detachment is wonderful, and we all strive for detachment, but detachment doesn't give pleasure. Detachment just takes away the pain. And we are actually anandamoyi. We are pleasure seekers, because we are part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of all pleasure. And so what we need to come to understand is what real pleasure is, and that real pleasure comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that He's also the all-attractive lover of every living entity. And the truly intelligent jiva, he understands real pleasure is in hearing about Kṛṣṇa, chanting about Kṛṣṇa, remembering Kṛṣṇa, and using any and all of their God-given talents for his pleasure. So human society is misguided in that they are all thinking if they had a bigger house, a nicer car, a beautiful wife, they would be happy. But the problem is in very short due course of time, these things can be eradicated. Even if you have a beautiful house, a storm could come and destroy it. Even a good amount of termites could do it in. What to say of if you have a beautiful wife? You know, beauty is lost in very short amount of time, or even maybe she's so beautiful somebody will come and take her away. So it's just the more we become attached to these things, the more pain there is in there when they are taken away, but they are for certain going to be taken away. And if you have a big position, you wanted a big position, you get a big position, what does that do? That just attracts envious people and thieves who want to take what you have. So this is a tragedy that goes on, and it all goes so quickly. And when you're old, I can speak from being old now, that when you look back and you see, wow, that all went so fast. Seems like it was just a short time ago. I was young and I could run so far, I could work so long, I could do this, I could do that. But it's all so fleeting. And the Vishnu Purana says the greatest tragedy in all creation is when a person who attains this rare, valuable human form of life wastes even a single moment without remembering Vasudeva, the Lord of our hearts, the source of all joy. So we must very carefully utilize every moment. Those who are really understanding what is to be done in this world, they make their only goal to serve the sweet lotus feet of Sri Kṛṣṇa. That's their main goal. That's what they focus on. They never make any goal in the material world because there is danger at every step. This is a fact. Everywhere there is danger, there's tragedy, and we see it happening all around us. And it's interesting. When we take rest at night, we start preparing for the next day, right? How many people do that? It's such a common thing. The children do their homework. They present it to present to their teachers the next day. The mother, she sets out the clothes for the children to wear for the next day. The father, has his appointments for work the next day. Yet how many times, has there been earthquakes or mudslides or tornadoes or tsunamis or bombs that gone off and these people never see it the next day? And why should we think we're exempt? Yeah, we could be a part of this too, of this tragedy. But if we're focusing on Kṛṣṇa, then Kṛṣṇa will be focusing on us. So it's not that we're fatalists, though. We're not worried about, a death, because the devotee sees death as Kṛṣṇa coming. And that a devotee is actually like you all are here tonight, you're focusing on your goal in becoming Krishna conscious. And it's atha brahma jigyasa. We have this rare human form of life, and traveling through 8,104,000 species, especially as devotees, we do not want to fall down. Prabhupada said that a fall down could be tragic. It could mean millions of years. That's a terrible thought, right? That we could be disengaged from Krishna consciousness for millions of years because we allowed Maya to come in. And Prabhupada says, that cars are running on 4 wheels and dogs are running on 4 legs. What's the difference? He says they're eating, sleeping, mating, defeating. What's the difference? Hogs are eating rubbish in the street and enjoying it. Why, people are going out to restaurants and eating what they're eating. They don't really know. They don't know the condition or how that food was prepared. But they're enjoying it just like the hogs in the street. And then you have the pigeons who are having so much sex life, and that's a man who's looking for so much sex life. This is not human. And defending is any dog, any animal will defend its territory, its family. And man has become so expert with technology to creating so many means of defense that are actually mass weapons of destruction. So the opportunity we've been handed is so incredibly wonderful. And it's not that we were just handed this wonderful opportunity of Krishna consciousness. We've been given it to it on a silver plate. And it's by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, it's never been so easy to take to Krishna consciousness. We can hear kirtans all day long. We can hear lectures. We can see classes. So many things. We have this opportunity. Everyone has some type of smartphone or computer or something. And it's also affordable these days. So this mac-cittaḥ sarva-durgāṇi, if we become conscious of Krishna, we'll pass over the obstacles of conditional life by his grace. And this is the thing, we know these obstacles. These obstacles, we see everyone dealing with obstacles, and we know we're not immune from them. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we find that there is Krishna's words helping us get the right consciousness and developing the right consciousness so that when these obstacles come, we know how to deal with them. And there's also the Srimad Bhagavatam with extensive narrations about the pastimes of Krishna with his devotees and how they deal with the obstacles, how they turn towards Krishna and how Krishna helps them in this loving relationship. And one good example is Dhruva Maharaj, right? He was just a 4-5-year-old little boy. And he was insulted by his stepmother, Suruchi. Insulted, it really cut his heart. It was so painful. Of course, all of us understand how being insulted can be painful, but for this young boy, who was also Kshatriya, it was so devastating. When he went to his mother, she saw that he was overwhelmed. There wasn't anything she could do to help him. So she just said, well, you need to take shelter of God. He can help you. So where is he? Where is this God? He told him, well, they say that the sages find him in the forest. And so there he was bound and determined to go immediately to the forest. He gave up the comfort of his mother, the comfort of his meals, the comfort of his soft bed and princely life. He wanted to see this God so badly. And Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado Yasya prasada nagatita topi Dayam sruandasya yasati santam Vande goroshi charanara vindam. Yes, it's by the mercy of Krishna that one gets the Guru, and by the mercy of the Guru that one gets Krishna. And so Krishna, he who guides all the wanderings of the living entities, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, he directed Dhruva to Narada Muni. And when he met Narada Muni gave him all the information that he would need. He told him where to go in the forest. He gave him the mantra for the Satyayuga. What was that mantra? Oh. Yeah, he gave him that. He described what Kṛṣṇa would look like when he saw him, so he would know. And he told him what austerities to perform. So Dhruva was so ready to give up so much, right? 5-year-old boy is ready to give up so much. It makes me wonder, how much am I ready to give up, right? He was, within a few days, he gave up food. He was only eating dry leaves. And then he gave up that. He was only drinking water every 3 days. He gave up that. He was standing on one leg. And then he gave up breathing. And then finally Kṛṣṇa appeared to him. And so, so it's a lot to give up, and we will actually at one point have to give up our last breath for God too. And at that point, at that time, when we give up that breath, are we prepared to be turning towards Kṛṣṇa for all of our substance? So, ye yatamam papadyante, and as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. And so a person in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. These are referring to material duties. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. It's interesting, and I'm sure you've met people like this. They're attached to their misery. They may be miserable, and you may even be able to give them some good advice about, well, if you do this, if you take the Kṛṣṇa consciousness seriously, these miseries will not bother you so much, right? But they can't do it. They don't want to let go. Prabhupada says sometimes people are more attached to their misery than they are to wanting to be happy. So this holy name, this Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is so amazing. It's omnipotent. It has all the potency of all of Krishna's expansions and powers, just as Lord Nrsimhadev has. And you look at Prahlad and what happened to him, right? He was thrown from a cliff. He was stabbed, he was attacked with snakes, he was trampled by elephants, he was poisoned. But what did he do? He chanted through all this. And then there's King Ambarish. Ambarish was just a pure, pious king who was wanting just to fast and to get closer to Kṛṣṇa and to serve Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni, he created this terrible, terrifying demon to kill King Ambarish. And what did King Ambarish do? He chanted. He chanted also. And then we look at this holy name, this Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's the same as having Kṛṣṇa and Balaram present, like all the inhabitants of Raj had. Kṛṣṇa and Balaram are present in their name. And so when the inhabitants followed Krishna's instructions and negated Indra from their sacrifice, and worship Govardhan Hill. And Indra was so infuriated, he sent these Saivandaka rain clouds that are meant for the devastation of the planets. It's meant to cover the universe with water at the time of dissolution. And he sent these terrible clouds to destroy Vraj. And what did the inhabitants do? They just turned to Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, it's getting kind of wet. And what does Kṛṣṇa do? Out of his playfulness and his love and affection for his devotees, he lifts this huge Govardhan hill. and invited everyone in. And inside there was no hunger, there was no thirst, there was no being tired. It was a wonderful arrangement. And Kṛṣṇa was so happy. He could stand there and see all his loving devotees at one time. And so also the time that the cowherd boys were in the forest, and it was so comfortable in the forest. Sometimes we do get too comfortable in this material world. And the cowherd boys got so comfortable with the sweet breezes of the flowers in the breeze, and they fell down, not fall down, but they laid down to take a rest, and woke up to a fire, raging fire all around them. And they just looked at Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, if you don't save us, we won't be able to play with you anymore. So Kṛṣṇa told them, close your eyes, because he didn't want them to see what he was about to do. He was about to swallow all that fire. And he knew they already told on him one time when he ate dirt, and they didn't want him to tell Mother Yasoda that he was eating fire now. So this is Kṛṣṇa. He wants to have these loving relationships with his devotees. And so for one who acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, Lord Kṛṣṇa becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after the friend's comfort, and he gives himself to his friend who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please him. We see throughout the scriptures how Kṛṣṇa takes great pleasure in protecting his devotees, and his devotees take total shelter of him. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily conception of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. He is already under strict material laws, but as soon as he acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. So what is false ego? It's to forget our true identity. So what is man doing with his power and intellect? In every country of the world we see that, and India is really in bad condition. There's so much pollution. This is from the power and intellect of man today. They are polluting the water, they're polluting the air. Now, can we recreate air? No, the air is polluted, that's it. And then they're polluting the land and the food. So we cannot really live or be semi-happy without these things. So why are they polluting with their factories and waste from their indulgence? It's because of this sense of control, the sense of greed, the sense of enjoyment, that they won't let anything get in the way of their sense gratification. The world is at the brink of a serious weather conditions because of their greed and their lust for sense gratification. So one should note that when one is not active in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, is losing himself in the material whirlpool in the ocean of birth and death, no conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Kṛṣṇa from within and confirmed by the spiritual master. And that's one of the reasons that we hear every morning, we hear every evening, is that because it reminds us and conditions us to think of Kṛṣṇa and to devote our hearts to Kṛṣṇa. It's yat karosi yadanashti, whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we offer and give away, whatever austerities we perform, we do that with love for Kṛṣṇa. And it's not that Kṛṣṇa needs the offering. It's not there's nothing, he says that in the Bhagavad Gita, there's nothing in this world for him. Nothing. But one thing that attracts him is our devotion and our love. So as we go on through our daily activities, and we put that as our goal, is to please Kṛṣṇa. And anyone who does this will make their life will become perfected. It's not the opulence of the offering. It's Kṛṣṇa needs nothing. There's all kinds of mudras and mantras for making offerings that are in the Vedas, but a bhakta surpasses all these. Sukambhar Brahmacharya was such a poor man. He was a beggar, and we know how beggars are treated. They're not treated very well, right? He would just beg from the morning to night, and he would sometimes get something, sometimes not. And he came to a kirtan with at Srivasacharya's home with Lord Chaitanya. And he became so ecstatic. People couldn't understand, how is this person so happy and he's so poor? But spiritual life is not based on material acquisitions. It's based on the consciousness. And this Sukambhara Brahmachari, he was so ecstatic that Lord Chaitanya came over to him and he told him, he said, yes, you were, what was his name in his previous life? His friend from the school, from the Sanipani Muni school. What was his name? The poor Brahmana. Sudama Vibra. Yes. He told him he was him in his last life, and that he gave him some chipped rice, and from that, Rukmini had to stop him from eating it because he had already satisfied. It caused so much wealth to come to him. But so he reached into his little bag and he pulled out some rice. The rice was so rough, it still had the husk on it. You know, beggars don't always get the best of things. And so it just still had the husk on it. And Lord Chaitanya started eating this rice. And Sukambhari was like, oh no, my Lord, this is not good enough for you. You can't eat this. And so he stopped him. But Lord Chaitanya, he says that he will not even accept nectar from a non-devotee, but from his devotees who offer him with love. He accepts everything. So Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that he brought us this simple, sublime process of Krishna consciousness. And it's in this age, it's very difficult. It's such a horrific age. There's so many difficulties everyone experiences. The life is short, intelligence is short, there's so many miseries, adhyatmic, adhibodic, adhidaivik, and this propensities to cheat and be cheated. So it's a very difficult time. And Lord Chaitanya, out of his extreme mercy, he came to deliver us all, and he's given us this wonderful process in life. And it starts with just following the four regulative principles. This is the basis of it. That's human life, is when one can begin to follow the four regulative principles. And then chanting our prescribed rounds, a minimum of our prescribed rounds, and more if possible. And then hearing regularly, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We need to hear these words from the Srimad Bhagavatam and from the Bhagavad Gita regularly. And then, of course, engaging in devotional service and also associating with devotees. Associating with devotees who are sincere about their Krishna consciousness and striving to improve their Krishna consciousness. This is very important. And in that way, we'll make quick and steady advancement in Krishna consciousness. And that will be the perfection of our lives. So, I will end here. If you'd like to add anything, or criticize anything, or ask any questions. No. All righty. Righty. Gantraj. Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai.